so psyched to be talking to both of you. I grew up with the Ghostbusters. And Jason, I remember you as the kid that wanted He-Man from Ghostbusters too.
Yeah.
But then you turned into like one of the best directors of my generation. So there you go.
Oh, what a kind thing to say. Here's the funny thing is, there was a clip that my father shot of my mother and my sister and I in the original film that got cut out.
Really?
But we went back into the original dailies, rescanned it, and put it into Ghostbusters Afterlife. So we're back in the movie.
So when you were on Ghostbusters 2, did you ever think that one day you'd be making a Ghostbusters movie and that it would be, amazing and so well received?
I could have never have dreamed that I would be a filmmaker myself and pick up this franchise myself. It's something that has been daunting my entire life. My father has a large shadow and Ghostbusters has a large shadow, and it was certainly intimidating. But it was my father who finally gave me the confidence to actually pick up the proton pack myself.
Ivan, your movies have had such a huge effect on me. The first movie I ever saw in theaters was Twins. So I kind of grew up watching your movies, and I think they're all amazing. But what was it like for you seeing your son though pick up the torch and have this amazing career of his own? It must be so gratifying.
It was gratifying and mostly it's emotional. I found myself really having to control my tear ducts on a kind of regular basis because it just meant so much to me that Jason was doing this. That's not to say that the film wasn't funny. I could tell it was very, very funny, but I was sort of approaching it from a father's perspective.
Well, I also have to ask you, so as a fan, I think that fans on the whole, especially for a franchise like this that's meant so much to them, feel almost proprietary to a certain extent. And why do you feel it is that it's resonated with people so much for the last, since 1984? It seems as relevant now as it was back then. And it just has this cultural currency that I don't think can be underestimated.
I think you're 100% right. And when we talk about Ghostbusters, we're talking about one of the most popular films of all time. I can't walk a day in my life without seeing a Ghostbusters t-shirt. There's a movie that when it came out in 1984, it was #1 at the box office for 7 straight weeks. I think it only got knocked off by Purple Rain. And then it was still like in the top 3 through the end of the year. So it's also a film that if you were 7 years old and saw it then, it's the scariest film you've ever seen. If you were a teenager, it was the funniest film you've ever seen. So it occupies all these different chambers of our heart, the science fiction chamber, the horror chamber, the comedy chamber. It also is what makes it so intimidating to try to, direct another installment. So what we tried to do was get back to that original recipe, make it feel like a Ghostbusters movie in every way you can.
Amazing
through the wardrobe,
score.
through the music, through the ghosts, through the characters, through the humor, through the thrills, and make a movie that made audiences want to come back to movie theaters and, buy popcorn.
Yeah, I saw it at CinemaCon and it was awesome. I gotta ask you, Ivan, just one last question. As a huge Twins fan, is Triplets going to happen now? I'm pretty psyched. I hope it does.
I hope so too. We're working on the script and I've got some wonderful actors who are prepared to do it and I'd love to work with. We're great fun to work with.
I'd just love to see Schwarzenegger and DeVito back together again. But thank you very much for your time. Thanks.
I remember Revelations. And I looked as he opened the 6th seal. There was a great earthquake. Judgment Day. Raise a cult.
I'm calling about what happened in New York.
There hasn't been a ghost sighting in 30 years.
Oh my God. What is happening here?
His grandfather was a Ghostbuster. Something was coming and he knew it.
I think we opened the gates of hell.
Hey, have you missed us?